Okay, so recently there's been a new post for Dragonflight and priest changes. So I'll be covering mainly PvP changes. There's a few changes that are PvE related, and there's a good reason for them. And one of the things I've noticed is that a lot of the PvE players think that certain things are being changed for PvP, and a lot of PvP players think certain things are being changed for PvE. Um, and while it's true, obviously, there's we'll get into it, and I'll explain a few things about it that people might be missing, and the changes that have happened between the builds and this monstrosity that has been put in front of us that just I can't even fucking believe. After the last video, I gave Blizzard the first rap I've ever given them for like 10 years, and they produced this shit within like 2 days or 3 days. Like, it's fucking unbelievable. I really hope they've still got some changes in them before the expansion rolls out, because some of the things that I was looking at were just, I couldn't believe it. It was just, I don't know. I don't know how they fucking come up with this shit. Anyway, so I've got a couple of points here summarized from the post. We're not going to go over the whole post, but number of active spells. I think there's too many spells in the Discipline Priest toolkit. When you first got onto beta, there was too many spells. They've sort of toned it back a little bit. Like, they were giving you like Shadow of Pain and like Purge the Wicked. They were giving you like Shadowman and Flash Heal. They were giving you like Penance and Dark Penance, and like a lot of shit's been sort of like pulled back a little bit. And now I've played on the PTR, and I've had a look at the build for PvP and how it is, and in some places I'm kind of happy, but in other places it's like really lacking. So now's the time for feedback. Okay, so they said that Shadowman feels unnecessary. I somewhat agree with them, but the role they've given Shadowman in Dragonflight is that it has a cooldown. You can talent into Depth of Shadows, and it basically gives you spot healing. Discipline badly needs spot healing. Radiance is meant to be AoE for PvP. Like, it's basically your spot heal. It costs a fucking shit ton of mana. Like, it would be really nice to keep the Depth of Shadows mechanic, at least if you're going to get rid of the two healing schools mechanic, and get rid of this. I mean, you can do it, like, for sure you can do it, and you can like change other spells around, but like, this is like fixing a really big problem. So if they do get rid of Shadowman, I hope they fucking keep this mechanic in the game with Flash Heal at least. Okay, so that's the first thing they talked about. The next one was so they're working towards removing Shadowman. So we should expect them to remove Shadowman at some point. I don't know if that means that it ships with Shadowman, but they're actively trying to remove it. And they're also trying to remove Mind Games. Literally one of the best spells they've ever fucking made in the game. They're trying to remove that one. And Power Word Life, which is a new spell they've made, and I'll talk about that in a little bit because it's got a few interesting repercussions. This spell, actually, I was playing around with it. Like, there's some interesting things with it, we'll say. But man, like, it's like, this is going to be a really degenerate playstyle if they're not like really careful with it, because having Void Shift back is pretty lame. Having a bunch of passive defensive cooldowns is one of the worst things in WoW PvP. passive defensive cooldowns are one of the things that have like really made WoW worse over the years. They should really consider talents like this as garbage. I mean, there's no like outplay for it. And if you can dispel it, it's like, well, now I feel like it's complete trash. So it's like, oh, well, I get stun locked and then it gets dispelled, and I wasted like an N tier talent point on it. So there's like no feel goodsies with this talent. It was shit back in the day. It's going to be shit again. You'll probably play it anyway, but you're not going to be happy about it. I mean, they're removing talents like Fey Guardian, and they're trying to remove talents like Mind Games, and they're putting in passive shit like this. Like, what the fuck are you thinking? You know what I mean? Anyway, we're not going to get into all that. We're going to talk about some like good things, but yeah. Disc reliance on penance. So over here they've sort of said disc reliance on penance. Disc relies on penance a lot. They want to allow for more builds. Disc is revolved heavily on penance. They want new builds centered around Smite and Power Word Shield. I'm not a big fan of making builds around Smite. I can understand it from a 2v2 perspective and a Mythic Plus perspective and a rating perspective. And in some degree, I'm okay with that. It's cool. Maybe you'll press it like a little bit when you're playing like against dot comps and stuff. But I really fucking detest like people running in and smiting like their head off. Like I remember like when I'd play Tiki, he was like rank 1 priest on NA. Like he'd just run in and spam smite and Mind Blast. Like it looks like Mind Blast is probably not going to be picked. That's one of the differences from one of the videos. After testing Shadow Covenant, it's not fit for purpose. Mind Blast has had the absorption removed. The absorbs damage component. See, in not BFA, in Shadowlands, you actually pressed Mind Blast as a heal, which is really weird because it has an absorption effect. The damage per mana was actually dog shit. And Smite was that button in BFA because it had the absorption. I'm kind of glad they're getting rid of that mechanic. I don't know, some of these Smite talents, like this one here, was it this one here? Yeah, like increased smite damage. I think that one. Increased healing from your smite after casting a Power Word Shield. That's fucking shit. Fuck that. I don't know. Like smite, just I feel like it should be like a moderately. It should just feel like a moderate filler spell, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really want really overpowered smites personally. This one here, so this, I don't know if this changed, but if you see here, it says stacks up to 7 times. Your penance bolts increase the damage of your next smite by 8% and absorb, or the absorb of your next Power Word Shield, sorry. So, like, you can penance into a smite and it'll do big damage, and the smite damage increases like 7 times 8. So like this could be good, but it's going to depend on the numbers, because if you actually map out the numbers of smite and stuff, it's very mana efficient, but it's also like really shit damage. It's like, I don't know, it's just a filler spell. Like it doesn't excite me, and these talents around Smite don't excite me either. So, maybe someone will like it. It might be good in Mythic Plus. So yeah, might be a Mythic Plus thing. Although with some of the changes they've got coming up, I don't think you'll see priests in Mythic Plus the way it's fucking going. They're looking at Shadow Covenant. As I said, this isn't fit for purpose. Some of the problems with it, it's on the GCD. It's going to feel too clunky to use in Arena. In Mythic Plus, I don't think you'll use it. I mean, maybe you'll use it and do like Schism with the... like you'll press Shadow Covenant, do the Schism, send the Dark Penance. But I'm going to show you another build that I like later for PvP. I'm not a big fan of this, and I think this whole like shadow thing is like this shadow experiment over here is like one of the worst balanced things. I like this talent. So with this talent, I'm actually going to show you this talent because it's like one of the shining lights of the tree. Actually, when I've tested it, so especially if they're not going to have mind games. So the way this works is when you use a shadow spell, your next holy spell does more damage. So what you can do is you can get this buff up. I don't actually have enough talent points, by the way, because I'm not 80. It's on PTR. But you get this, so you get like 3 extra bolts of penance, and you have castigation. So even without cast, it does a lot of damage. So what you would do is you would Schism. You get this buff, increases damage by 15%, and you've got the Schism buff. So you can like send like a big Schism penance on the go. You can do the same with Mind Blast. So maybe like if you don't have Schism up, you can like Mind Blast into a penance. But I don't even feel like Mind Blast is worth pressing anymore. It costs too much mana. Yeah, so there's that. Yeah, so the GCD of Shadow Covenant is shit. The mana of it's shit. They're saying that they're going to take away the component where it nerfs Holy Spell damage. I don't give a fuck. It's on the GCD. It's on the GCD. One of the biggest problems with Disc in every single fucking facet of the game is all the GCDs. Like this is trash because it has a GCD. Dark Archangel and Archangel never used to have GCDs. These would be really good talents again if they didn't have a GCD. Even Archangel is worth pressing, playing sometimes. I play it like a fair bit actually. But it like these spells would be so much better if you could like take the GCD off them. Yeah, so this is a fuck up. They know it's a fuck up though. Silence. Oh, okay. So people are wondering why Silence isn't on this side of the tree because every other healer in the game is going to have access to an interrupt. So Priest is going to be the only healer in the game that can't pick up an interrupt. And to be fair, it's like there's fairly degenerate uses for Silence in PvP. Like, say you're fighting another Disc Priest, actually is a good example, and you open on them with Cheap Shot, you can silence over the top of it so they can't pain suppression, just fucking blow them up, right? So there's one degenerate use. You can use a silence while casting a mind control on a third DPS and like a third target, and like you can have your rogue kidney shot the target and like have your mage DB sheep the other one, so you can coordinate triple CCs with your silence. Druids with nature swiftness, if they like try and get off a nature swiftness, you can like silence them on it and then purge it. Takes away like a clutch element of being able to purge them. So like in PvP, there's no reason for it. In PvE, I just think it's completely unfair that they don't have access to a silence. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say for that. For PvE, it completely makes sense. Like the other specs can have a interrupt. So Priest should be able to get an interrupt as well. It's not really fair that they're the only class that can't get it. Okay. Vault of the Heavens not included. So this was like the reverse grip thing. People wanted like access to the reverse grip thing. To be honest, I fucking hate using that, but I think it should be included. Like, fun detected, Blizzard. Like, if you're making up boring as fuck, like passives like this shit and this shit, why can't you have a reverse grip talent? I mean, these are fucking boring. This isn't even good. This is terrible in PvP. You never want to take that in PvP. The next big one, Shining Force, is actually gone. So in the other video, I thought they were gonna. I mentioned I thought they were gonna bring it back in another build. Surprise, guys, they're not. Shining Force was like a great button for removing people out of like Dome, Earthen Shield. You could knock Spirit Link totems. One of my favourite tactics in BFA, when we'd fight Warlock Mage, I'd take Shining Force and they would stand near the gate. And, you know, we would be playing, what was the trinket called that put the puddle on the ground and gave people corruption? Spite. So we'd play the Spite trinket against that comp, right? Because it was really good into Druids and Warlocks. So Druid Warlock team, you play Spite, right? Now, what we would do is we would sap the Warlock. My rogue would position himself away from... to knock the Warlock away from his gateway. So what the Warlock would try and do was trinket and gate. And then the next time he'd try and like wall and save himself, like, and have the Druid trinket and save him. But what we would do is we would knock him and force him to use that trinket on the first go. And then we'd smoke bomb them the next go. So the Druid couldn't help him. So there's like skilled like things with Shining Force that I don't think a lot of the developers understand. Like that's like, it's like a spell you don't see much because it was on a tier where you had this, which reduced your Psychic Scream cooldown, and you had to play this like into 90% of the matchups. Knocking Darkness, knocking AMZ, that was another use for it. I used to love doing that. Like we'd go a shaman and like pop everything on them. They'd like pop their fucking stupid AMZ and Darkness and shit, and I would just fucking knock them out of it like instantly, and I'd feel really good when the shaman dropped dead because he got none of his partner's externals. Like, and it's great in Mythic Plus too. Like like in Mythic Plus, I think it's called Sanguine, when like it drops the puddles on the ground, you could like knock people out. You could like knock the mobs out of the Sanguine. So like it's losing like it's like losing Mythic Plus utility. It's losing PvP utility. This is like a really shit change. Look, if you don't want button bloat, put it here. Put it here. So this is like really good for against cleaves, against melee cleaves. So say you got a Fury Warrior or an Arms Warrior. Say that like you got an Arms Warrior and you like Colossus smashes you, and this will mean you see that you're going to take a lot of damage. It's roughly 45-second cooldown. This is roughly a minute cooldown. You stand near a pillar. You root him on the pillar. This is a physical root, so it can't be dispelled. He has to DPS through it. You run around the pillar, and you've just manner efficiently peeled yourself from a class that like you can't fear. So it, you know, it gives you like a counter to them fucking Donkey Konging on your face all the time. Well, this one here, this is complete shit. And Shining Force mainly counters cleaves. So why can't you put Shining Force here? I mean, who the fuck wants this talent? Look at this. Increases the amount of damage required to break your mind, bomb, or psychic scream. It's fucking lame. I mean, maybe that's like a Mythic Plus thing where like you get like an AoE like stun out of it essentially. But I mean, fuck, can you just put that in the shadow tree? Because no one's gonna fucking, no one plays, no one, like Mind Bomb's not here. I don't have the option to play Mind Bombs, and I wouldn't play this talent even if I could. Like, I think this is like, I think this is like a really bad talent, and then I'm pretty sure like a lot of people would really prefer to have like Shining Force here instead. Um, Actually, Shadow Priest could pick it up too, so Shadow Priest would have a bit more utility if they could pick it up, which would be cool. Um, yeah, so Shining Force gone. Um, they said Spectral Guys, no Spectral Guys. Um, Look, I know Spectral Guys is like a lot of priests' favourite spell, and I kind of understand they don't like it being gone. But I hated this ability. I'll be honest with you. Like I know a lot of priests, this is like their favorite ability. So I'm probably breaking your heart right now. But like this spell, I didn't like it. Like it felt like Vanish. Like when I play my rogue, I have Vanish. This feels like having Vanish, and priest shouldn't have Vanish. It's just simple as that. Priest should not have Vanish. And this thing also ate traps for you sometimes. Like you if you like pressed it before a scatter shot, it would eat a trap for you. It was like, I don't know. It was good and it was skillful. Like you could eat kidney shots with it too. Like if you pressed it at the right time, like a rogue could like tab it and kidney shot it by accident. I don't literally mean they would tab it. It would like target them and then kidney shot. They say it drops like the focus frame. I haven't used a focus frame for fucking years to target people with spells. I use Arena 1, 2, 3. But it's whatever. Like I'm not a bit. That's not a big deal for me. But yeah, it would be for some people. I always thought it was shit too. Like having priest versus priest matchups and like people going fucking vanishing and stalling out goes, and I don't like it. I think it's a shit spell. Mind Bomb, that's Shadow. I don't give a fuck about Shadow. Okay, so a couple of changes. So Fade back to 10%. So this is like a feel goodsy again. Just a little benefit for PvP, but this is mainly a PvE change. This is a rating change because priests are like the squishiest class in the game and they have no mobility. So a lot of these talents are aimed, as they said, at fixing priests in raids. And I can tell you right now, I rated Nyalotha as like a holy priest. Like I was playing with Versky, man. Like you took so much fucking damage. Like you just died through mechanics sometimes. Like there's nothing you can do about it. Like you can't press your really top externals for it. Like there was just times where other people would live and like I would just fucking die and I'd be like, well, I didn't do anything different. I was full HP. I sometimes even would press like Desperate Prayer beforehand and like I die through it anyway. So yeah. Yeah, so I like I'm cool with that. So my conclusion is that like Fun Detected basically like they want to prune mind games. They want to prune Depth of Shadows. I mean, Shining Force gone. No Silence. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I feel like the devs are telling me to go fuck myself right now. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but like they're trying to tell, like I really feel like they're trying to tell me to go fuck myself. Here, we've given you power infusion and the ability to use it on someone else. Like you're a PI bot in a raid. I don't know. I don't like it. I feel like, and I'm gonna give some actual criticism as well, like before the end of this video, because I feel like if I talk this much shit, I should give some. So, Power Word Life, they want to remove this too. Now, if they're going to remove mind games, I just wanted to have a look what a healing build would look like. The interesting thing about this build is you do get the Surge of Lights, and you've got Void Shift now. Now, this talent here, Power Word Life, they reckon they're going to get rid of it, but now I'm in game. I want to show you something interesting about this spell. It is 250 mana. Now, that is extraordinarily cheap. And check this out. When I flash heal, so 8.2. When I press this, it's about 6k, right? This is instant, and it's 250 mana. It's like well below. I don't know if that's like a bug or something, but when this gets to like 400 more mana, so this heals for 400% more. 400% more on the target that's below 35% health. So with this... Oh, fuck, where are my talents? Okay, I'll just show you on here. With this, 35% health, what you would do is you'd set up your weak aura for your Twist of Fate. You would put it there. You'd press a big shield, and you go big shield, and you go Archangel with Twist of Fate up, and bang. And I did this before, and it healed me for like 45-50% of my health instantly for 200 mana. So that's not bad. If you drop low with this, you'll also get like another little shield. So like it might be easier to... It might not be that hard to like use this. The other thing is with this build, you actually can get Angel's Mercy. So when you're getting trained, you get your Desperate Prayer back sooner. You can use this with Desperate Prayer when you get really low, right? So Desperate Prayer's off the global. You have Twist anyway. So it's quite possible for back-to-back goes, you can just like Archangel yourself, use this, right? Like really heavy burst only happens like with like mainly 3-minute cooldowns against cleaves. Like DK's A-bomb limb is like I think it's 3-minute cooldown now. So you actually have like a good amount of spot healing here. Like I said in the other video, you might not need to use Radiance. But check this out. This is the other interesting thing. Listen to this. Critical heals create a protective barrier absorbing 15% of the amount healed. Okay, so this is an old talent, and it actually replaced like your critical heal. This is actually in addition to your critical heal. And critical heals with Power Word Shield absorb 15% additional damage. And this one makes your Power Word Shield fucking huge. So if you actually crit with this, you get like a fucking massive Power Word Shield. Look, I crit and it was like 1600 and it drops because like that's what the talent does. So if you press this before a stun and you get a crit, 1900, right? Like this is like pretty big numbers, right? So that crit component also works with this spell. See, I didn't get a crit that time, but it's like really interesting. Like for 250 mana, this thing can crit you for like buku numbers and give you like a really big Divine Aegis shield. So yeah, like I said in the other video, I think like Power Word Shield, Strength of Soul, and Crystalline Reflection are going to be like big things again. And say like I have 10 more points, right? I could pick up Fade, I could pick up Crystalline Reflection, I can pick up my Void Shield. And that's not too bad. Okay, so I'm going to address like one other thing. Like they said they wanted to remove this spell. Like you only just put it in. There's like nothing good here. You've just like put in a bunch of shit that we've had in other expansions. Like, for fuck's sake, like, come on. There's like surely, like, I feel like they've just been like, yeah, we're putting Void Shift in here. This is like a big fucking button. Like, they'll love this. Mate, I hate this button. I hate this button. It's like the most skillful thing you can do with this button is go, Mage, Time Warp, right? And then you press Void Shift, you switch HPs with them, they go really low, and then they cancel their fucking they cancel their ability and like they get all their health back. Like that's the most skillful thing you can do with this button, and I don't give a shit. What I would like to see, this spell here, I'd like this to be like a Vitality Conduit. Like that's what I'd like to see. If you're gonna like prune this, like I'd like to see Vitality Conduit here. I'd like to see like my Nightfail ability here. I don't know why they want to get rid of Mind Games. Like, I think like going deep into Rapture, like having the Nightfail ability would be really powerful because you can like, I think this ability, yeah, I think he's Nightfail. So like, you would Rapture, and you would press, yeah, you'd press your Nightfail. On PTR, I don't have it. But basically, like, it would make your Rapture go back really fast. So, like, you could, like, focus on healing. If you want a Power Word Shield build, put back the Nightfail ability here and let it reduce Rapture CD still. Maybe you could make it, like, a bit more noob-friendly so that it doesn't, like, buff other people. But maybe you should keep that. Maybe you should have the buff other people component because if you don't know what the buff does, it used to make like abilities reset cooldown faster, but it was like one specific ability. So like it was really busted in a way because you could like reset your Rapture, but you could reset your you could reset like your Rogue's Vendetta or like your Mage's Combustion. So like it's like maybe you could just make it like what they did with Powered Shield back in the day and just make it like a self buff that you can't give to anyone else. It like gives you back your Rapture back really fast. It gives you some damage reduction. And like you could cut all this shit. Like you could have an external that you use on yourself that you know, it gives you back Rapture, so it's like a win-win button. Yeah. So some other things I thought from the other video that like I mentioned that maybe like aren't as good now that I've tested them. So I was testing like Light's Wrath. It like doesn't do enough damage in my opinion. Like a Schism into a Penance with this does more damage than Light's Wrath. And like with this, it does like slightly less than if you do like a Schism Light's Wrath. It's slightly less. And if you have this up, Penance does more. And when I tested, I don't even know if like I had this up. So like maybe it was just like a Castigation Penance with Schism did about the same. This doesn't do that much damage. It was like really underwhelming. But then again, I didn't have anyone to atone apart from myself. But see, Sins of the Many's like back in the day when you had this in Legion, you got Sins of the Many for having more atonements, not less. Yeah, I don't think this is good. I think this sucks now. So I don't think we're gonna have. I don't even think I'm gonna play with Light's Wrath. It's probably shit. So I reckon this could be like a Vitality Conduit. I feel like some of the BFA conduit things could be or not conduit. They're called essences. Some of the big essences could go really well on Priest. Like I feel like if this was like Vitality Conduit, it'd be really good. Maybe instead of this, you could have like Crucible. The thing that like you could just spam damage with. Like Schism Crucible was like the most fun shit ever. Like these trees distinctly like Disc will just be like a very, very dampening like it's so weird. You can have so many damaging like things, but it's gonna be like a dampening playstyle in PvP, I think. Yeah. kind of lame. Anyway, I've been talking for a while, so I'll end it here. Have a good one.